Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. My name is Rotimi Eitai, and it's such a great opportunity and a great privilege to be here today. We're excited to be hosting the show, and we're excited to be seeing you today. It's a great morning indeed, and welcome to everyone who is joining us. And we would like to say this, that if you're joining us, please do know that we would like to know where you're streaming from, connecting from. Let us know where you're connecting from. Tell us your name, tell us your location. We're streaming from Lagos, Nigeria, to West Africa, to Africa, and to the entire world. And it's always a great pleasure hosting this show with fantastic individuals, awesome analysts and experts in the building. And we have Safety Chick in the building. As we welcome Safety Chick this morning. Safety Chick, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Mr. Rotimi.
Safety Chick, are you there? Good
I'm very
morning.
well, thank you. Yourself? Good morning, sir. Can you hear me? I was
Hello.
responding. Can you hear me now? Hello, I can hear you, sir. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Safety Chick there.
Hello.
Seems that the audio. So while we still wait for her to connect with us, like I said, this is the Good Morning Education Show, and we are always excited to have you all on the show, and it's always going to be a great time on the show. We have analysts, strong voices sharing their views, diverse views from different angles, and just to make sure that the story is complete, is better, a painted picture that everyone can have the best of view. And of course, if you're connecting with us for the first time, do let us know so we can ring the bell of blessing to you and recognize you and appreciate you on the show. So, welcome, KK. Welcome, Safety Chick. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Rotimi. Can you hear me now?
Safety Chick, are you there?
Yes, can you hear
Finally,
me
we can
now?
hear you. What a great day to have you. We missed you yesterday. I
Yes.
can.
Okay. I've been greeting you since.
Fantastic. Good to have
Happy to be here.
Good morning, everyone.
you. Having you yesterday.
Good morning, ma.
Good morning, everyone.
Titi, good morning. KK, good morning.
Ma. You're welcome.
Good morning, Bochi, Titi, Mr. Rotimi, everyone. Good morning.
Whose voice is that?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you
Good morning,
for
Titi.
joining us on the Good
Titi,
Morning.
pop up the volume. Pop up the volume.
Pop up the volume. Okay, let me see. Okay. Is this better?
Oh my goodness. Yes, KK finally is back.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So, how are you, everyone? How are you? How are you today? KK been dropping in and out, disappear, reappear, disappear, reappear.
Must be network.
Put on internet. Okay. So, Titi, are you there now? Is your audio better
I
now?
hope so.
Yes, we can hear Titi.
And of course, Safety Chick is here.
Yes, I'm here.
So we had a great conversation yesterday, and Safety Chick, I don't know if you followed our conversation. We had a fantastic engagement yesterday. It felt like it didn't end. Oh, you missed.
I
You
missed.
missed so
I
much.
was knocked out, man. I couldn't. No mental strength.
It's good that now that we can talk about mental stress and smile. You know, many years ago, if you say mental stress, you know, that girl has mental stress. Okay, let's take the news and then we'll come back and have a conversation for the day. All right, let's have the news.
Okay.
Okay, so welcome back, welcome back. Headlines, headlines. What are your thoughts? What are your takes? Let's start with Kiki.
Okay. So I was hello.
Yes, we can
We
hear
So
can
you.
hear you.
can hear you. 4 headlines actually jumped out at me. The first one was the fact that schools in Kenya are not reopening because of cash. And I mean, I just thought about the Nigerian situation and how even if cash was a problem, I mean, but we struggled and we did reopen. So I'm wondering if that affects, relates to their private schools as well, or if it's just the public schools, you know. So that would be interesting to know. Then UNICEF's call that children are at risk in countries where their schools haven't opened. And yeah, it is a problem actually, because we see the gap widening, getting even wider, in terms of out of school children, learning gaps and learning losses. So yeah, that's something that we need to look at. I was very excited about the technical education. I was at Ondo State that said they were going to ramp up technical education, and I was like, you know, because that's something that we need to look at, and not just in the tertiary institutions. We actually need to drill it down into even primary and secondary schools. There is a place for technical education. There is a place for actual skills in the classroom. So yeah. And then the one about NECO, you know, postponing exams indefinitely. And in my head, I'm like, wow. So universities that are reopening and students who are waiting on NECO results, what's going to happen? You know? So I guess more and more we're beginning to look at how can we have a standard that, you know, I don't even get it. There's just so much going on right there in that headline. So let me leave my own kind of worms and then hand over to Gochi and Titi and hear what they have to say.
Okay, so let's go to Titi. Titi, let's hear your thoughts.
I think the first one that caught my eye was about the smart universities. I thought that was interesting. I was saying, what does this cover? What does this entail? But you know, I can think of so many things, and what it just simply tells me is that COVID, the lockdown, this 2020 has helped accelerate, you know, the future of education and technology. So it's an exciting development. I think you know, same comment with KK on Kenya. You know, I'm sure it would be more of an African thing where there are more private schools, because when it's the government, they don't really talk about cash straps. It's really more about the private schools that are struggling. So I can feel Kenya's pain here, saying that, you know, and in Nigeria it's the same thing. That it hasn't made headlines doesn't mean it's not the same thing. Where some schools are struggling to open, mainly because a lot of their teachers, if they've not been paid, have already looked for what, so to speak, greener pastures, even just to start. And then the fact that the parents will be dragging their feet in paying paying school
Please.
fees. They won't want to. Sure, I was still speaking to someone yesterday who told me that her husband was very angry because she insisted he paid the school fees. That he had told her that she wait. That see now they've told the children to come back and sit down at home. If you had not paid now, you know, and it's a reality. It's the reality of how people, the system will be cash underfunded. It was already underfunded before, but even more so during this period. So I could really feel the pain, because I know that that's the same pain that we are experiencing generally in Africa when it comes to education and private education, both low cost and mid cost education. I think there was a third one that caught my eye. That was in terms of the technical. I think it's exciting. If COVID and all the NSAS protests has taught us anything, is the fact that we must not ignore the high unemployment, the high level of education. More now than ever, we are realizing the importance of education. There is, if you leave that keg of gunpowder called education unmet, it comes back to explode on you. And I'm hoping that that's what this has taught us, that we must ensure that the youth are employable. We must ensure for them to be employable, they must be educated. And the education doesn't mean certificate education. It's an education that allows them to be employable either by themselves where they can't start businesses, or employable where they can go into various organizations. So education is very key, and must not be overlooked, must not be underfunded. If not, it comes back to bite you in the ass.
I think I'll just pick up from there, because as you were speaking and you were talking about education that makes people employable, what I remembered was I read an article that Leke Alda did a series on Facebook very recently, and one of it had to do with education, and he talked about the various aspects of education. He talked about education, maybe like the regular, university kind of education. He talked about education that focus on the creatives, culture. If you notice, the younger generation seem to know so much about that, but we don't really have that taught extensively in our traditional institutions. Then education that focuses on agriculture, education that focuses on the technical aspect of things, so that regardless of where you find yourself and based on your interest, you would always see something that suits you. We shouldn't keep on having this one size fits all approach to education, So I just thought to mention that. Then I will just touch on 2 points that got my attention in the news that has not been mentioned yet. And one of them is the fact that schools are reopening in Ibadan. Well, I would have said that this week schools should have waited, to just ensure that things are really mellow, before putting our children out there. But again, I also know that Ibadan didn't really experience as much crisis as we experienced in Lagos. So maybe they are checking their own risk level to make that decision. But I would have preferred that at least for this week, the children are just allowed to continue online. Let's just be sure that there are no pockets of trouble anywhere before releasing them to go out there. Then the other thing is the Egypt ranking third among institutions. And I think that that's just something that all African countries should begin to plan towards. How can the education system that we have compete globally with other schools, other institutions in other first world countries, in quotes? That should be our target, not wanting to be the best among the worst, but being the best among the best. That should be our target. Yeah, so I just thought to point that out.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Very, very key contributions, and I believe that most people out there too will share with your ideology, but we just need to just get to a point where we don't put that question as if it's rhetorical, but we get to a point where we're not just saying, okay, we hope to rank, we're able to discuss that move, that will make us, because a lot of times it's like we can't even fathom what needs to be done, or we can't fathom the part of our responsibility, making sure that is done. So it's either we know what to do, but it's not in the spec of things, or we can't even get to the point of thinking. So many things to deal with, to talk of reaching forth, which really interestingly is the conversation for today. So our conversation for today, for those joining us, we're speaking on high enough for a new path. And today's show is not going to be to the unknown educator. It's not going to be to the it's not going to be to just generalized. It's really something that we will be speaking to ourselves on the show today, and we hope that as people listen, they take this as a personalized conversation. Because when we say high enough for a new path, we're not just talking about a general set of people. We're talking about we've come to a point, almost like maybe it's the year end and the recent happenings that is fueling this special broadcast or this kind of conversation. But we need to see how we can get to the point where we get to reflect, think, and aim high enough, for a new path. I'm honestly on that path already, where my trajectory is really, really all for the new. And I believe that some of us probably also are doing that, maybe underground, behind the scene. But let's bring this as a conversation today. And I really want to hear what KK has to say, what Titi has to say, and what Ugochi has to say. And hopefully Jude and Eben. You said?
I said start with Titi.
Cousin Okay. Okay, let me start with Ugochi. I don't want to get into your family fight. So Ugochi, I'm starting.
I'm still trying to understand.
Because I know that Titi and Mr. Rotimi are in sync, one kind. So I said, fully.
Titi, is that true?
My cousin and I are in sync. Yes. Ugochi.
Okay. So I think that this is a very important question, a very important conversation, because for me, this year I started on a new path, and it's been interesting to watch. So first of all, I wanted to do a master's degree, right? I knew I wanted to do a master's degree, but I didn't know in what particular area I wanted to do it. So I'm someone who believes in serendipity. I also believe in God. So I know that many times things do not just happen in a vacuum. And the reason I'm pointing this out is because when it is time for you to move on to a new path, you must be sensitive to your environment. Things are going to come to you in different forms, maybe a random conversation, a WhatsApp message, something on the news. If you're not sensitive, your spirit won't pick it up, and you won't even realize that is even going to help in the direction you're going to go. So mine came in the form of a WhatsApp message from a friend I hadn't heard from in a long time, asking me to apply for this Oprah Winfrey scholarship at a particular university in the US. And well, I just applied without any plan. I just applied, and in the course of applying, I thought I had a good story, so I wrote it. So I knew I was going to get the admission. What I was really hopeful for was the scholarship. But in the course of applying, I saw so much about the course that I really liked and that aligned with what I had been seeing myself up for my future. Do you see? So when I went through that process, I became clearer on the course of study I wanted to go. So yes, I eventually got the admission in March, but I didn't get my scholarship. And initially I wanted to feel bad, but then I realized that this process actually helped me to clarify the exact course of study that I wanted, because it became clear. And over the next few weeks, I was invited to do something with the federal government, and the thing aligned with the course. And I'm like, oh my God, this is it, right? So it now made me more conscious that, okay, yes, when the admission cycle comes again, I'm going to apply. But now that I know that this is the area I'm looking at, it made me to become more conscious to do some self-education, So I started taking some other courses on EDX, just to increase my knowledge with British Council. Just so I started doing all those. So even though, in fact, when I was reapplying to the school and I was asked how have I become better since losing my admission, I had good stuff to say because I had improved myself because of I knew about their coursework and I knew where they were tilting towards. So I went by myself. I did personal education. I created products. I did something tangible. So when it's time for you to go on a new path, you must be sensitive to your environment to see when information comes to you. In fact, it was in the course of doing the British Council course that some things even got clearer. I was able to do more research, like everything just like coming together. So if you're not sensitive, you will miss the sign. Now, when you now realize that this new path is where you are going, you must double down and increase your knowledge, formally and informally. Formally, maybe if it is necessary for you to go for a structured educational program maybe at a PhD level or whatever, you might decide to do that. But if you know that, okay, it's not that deep, maybe what you just need is a certain short courses, executive education with certain institutions, you can do that. Or if it is something that just self-learning via different online courses, creating your own syllabus and curriculum and doing it is what works for you, then by all means do so. But why I'm stressing this is because you must be sensitive to pick up the signals in your environment. Where is the world going? Where are you going? What does God say about you? Where does God say you are going? And then, of course, get the necessary knowledge, because the truth is knowledge empowers. If you do not if you do not have the right knowledge, if you are placed in a position, you are going to mess up. So you need knowledge so that you are going to perform optimally.
And everybody says
Amen.
That was a fantastic Sunday sermon served on a Tuesday morning. Can I get a witness in the house?
Hallelujah.
So, Keke, can you scream? Fantastic. I felt like I was in a crusade or something. And except you just say. So the next thing you needed to do was just to do the water. If you want to go on the
let me ask for offering.
Higher power. No. What? You are a pastor. What type of offering is that? Titi, the alert usher. Why is it like this? All right, fantastic. I hope people out there are not just listening, but they're paying attention, because really you've said so many things in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
So many stuff that if we're to pick it, each of the things you're saying is just like layers upon layers. You're breaking one, opening one, unraveling one, and really I like the way that you don't say it from a text point of view, or sometimes it's good to drop points and drop all these heavy sound bites, but you brought it out from the reality of your life. You said earlier in the year I was applying, and sometimes people don't understand that success leaves clues. You said some things about you were applying for a master's. Sometimes some people don't even like to say they apply for things. They apply for grants, they apply for scholarships, they apply for loans and all that. But you've used your life as a case study. And then you took a step further to say that it was while you were applying, you saw something. Meaning that sometimes as we approach some things, as we pursue some things, we must pay attention, do you understand, to the things around us. I really appreciate that openness and feedback. That's already taking someone, and that's high enough in a way,
Yeah.
And I believe it will lead someone to a new path. And this time I'll allow Keke to now take us to the next, level. We finished first service, we're in the second service, and our guest minister. Ladies and gentlemen, make one welcome. The woman.
Hi, after that, Ugochi's powerful something. Wow. So yeah, I mean, there's something Ugochi said that knowledge empowers, and that was just so profound for me. Knowledge truly does empower, and we need to flat out understand. We need to get that, and so for me, it's been even starting from where I got into the whole education space. I mean, I started with working for somebody, and I just realized that this is where I wanted to be. So even when I resigned and left there, And I honestly didn't want to start a school because I had been in the school system and it was difficult. Difficult. It's not the teaching or the working with the students. No, it was the working with the parents. It was all that, you know, the wahala of Titi, you're laughing. I'm sure you know exactly what I mean. It was all that for me that was really difficult. And I said to myself, are you sure you can do this, Kiki? You know, and the first thing that I did to ensure that I could was to empower myself. I actually went off to school. I took, I think it was about 4 weeks off, and I went off to Boston and I went to school because I needed to understand, get into the mindset, the principal's mindset. Yeah, so I went to Harvard grad for education, and it helped. It really helped. But you see, a lot of times we walk into these things almost blind, and then we never try to empower ourselves to be in that position where we can actually be, we are ready to do what it is that we can do. Let me give you another example. So a friend of mine sent me a proposal. It sent me, so there's this WWF asking for technical partners, technical consultants actually, for a MOOC course. And I looked at the requirements. I said, hey, babe, why did you send this thing to me? She said, okay, you can do it. I said, I cannot do this thing. I said, do you see what they're asking for? Look at what the technical stuff for you. And I started to look at it. And I said to her, I said, writing the financial part of it is not tough. But for me, this technical part, I don't know anything about sustainability in the environmental space. I said, I don't know it. She said, okay, so are you saying that you don't have anybody that you can relate with, such that both of you can put together this proposal together? And it just clicked. I said, oh, of course I have people. She said, so what's the problem? You know, sometimes you might not be high enough for a new path on your own. The playing condition is critical. You really might not be high enough for a new path on your own. But when you understand what the needs are, and that's what Safety Chick said. She said, in this place where you are, what are the needs? Where are you as a human being? And that's for me was where I started from. I looked at it and I knew that some of these areas I could not do it. But I looking deep, I realized, but I know people that can. And we can simply come together and float the proposal together. And if we get the job, nobody's saying that you cannot hire somebody on your technical team to do the job. You know, so we need to get out of that space where we're trying to be high enough all by ourselves. Of course, you need to have something that you're bringing to the table. You need to look at yourself and say, can I do this thing? Am I even ready for this thing? Now, let me give you the second part of that proposal. Beyond the technical part and getting people to work with me and me putting it together, I asked myself, do I have the time right now for this new path? Because first of all, it's going to be happening in Abuja. You know, there's so many other things included in it that are going to take out of my time. So even if I could scale the hurdle of capacity, how about time? High enough for a new path. Do you need that new path right now? That's the question I would ask people. Because sometimes, even if your timing is off, then no matter how much capacity you have, it is off. And you're going to struggle every single step of the way. So much as I'm not telling people that don't go into new things, don't know. If you know me, you know that I'm like a one-woman republic, like Rotimi says. I just the bulldoze and the go. Is there? Let's go. You know, that's me. I just go. But I'm in that space right now where I'm asking myself, do I need to do this right now? Or can I wait? Can I build capacity? Can I build relationships such that when I do take, because to be honest with you, opportunities are like buses. Another one will always come along. If you're in the right place, you will jump on that bus and you will run with it. So don't pressure yourself if you're not fully ready. That's the path my conversation will take this morning. If you're not fully ready, do not pressure yourself such that even the relationships that you are depending on, they begin to hold it over your head. Like that Mr. Rotimi's bell. And you cannot even go anywhere. You can't go anywhere because they have, you know, literally by the balls. And you can't do anything without them because you don't have that capacity. So that's my path this morning.
So from KK, from two things. I would act in an authoritarian manner on this particular feedback. So well, it's true that people might look at it that they're looking at it that okay, there might not be time, or it's not like they're ready for a high path. I don't want us to really incubate that thought in people who are listening today. However, I
Okay.
think there's something we've been saying since yesterday, which has to do with relationship, with relational. I don't know whether there's some anointing in the house, but KK, you're saying something about relation. I'm also sensitive. Like Ugochi said, that you have to be sensitive. You have to pay attention. I think we might need to
Yes.
bring that back to that can KK break the palm kernel and get us that thing inside the palm kernel, right? We'll come back to KK. So KK be communing with the spirit and the inspiration, to get that part of relationship. Because the truth about it is, we're talking about the height of heights. We're talking about reaching forth, that our spirit can rise up to the occasion to do what we need to do. And honestly, we need to, I don't know how to put it now. We're going to take comments, but let me just say this before we take comments. We need to get to understand, from what Safety Chika said, and also what you're trying to say. I want people to understand that, in fact, getting to that path and understanding it's a high enough path, it's itself what we're talking about. Not so much as to even the success on that path, the greatness on that path, the rewards from that path. A lot of us just count the cost, and then at the same time we look at the outcome projected vis-a-vis our current strength and our current status, and we say, you know what, I can't. We write ourselves out just from the beginning. So I want Safety Chick to take the comments for us. I think we have some comments that we need to take. We'll take comments from the conversation. I saw something. Yeah, okay. So let's start with this comment. Safety Chick, over to you.
Okay, Chinonso says, what can schools do from grassroots? That is to say, from creche to achieve high standards. Also, what can families do to support high standards as well? I think the answers to the questions will bring practical solutions to the people.
Okay, so open out. What can schools do from grassroots? That is to say, from creche to achieve high standards. KK, you want to help with that?
Yeah. Okay. So the first thing is, when you talk about high standards, yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I was gonna say, what I was gonna say is that when you talk about high standards, it actually should be something that cascades. So because I've been very practical today, so let me tell you what we did. So what we did, and I think I've shared it before, what we did in my school is to say, what is the highest exit level, in terms of when you are year 6, what must you know in year 6? And so we looked at it and said, okay, these are the things that you must know in year 6. What must you know to succeed in year 7? Even though at that time I didn't even have a secondary school. What must you know to succeed in year 7 was the question we then asked ourselves. And again, we benchmarked it. We said, cascade what you need to succeed in year 7 all the way down. And that's what we did. We took all of those learning from year 7 and began to cascade it down from year 6 to year 5 to year 4 to year 3 to year 1 into preschool. And so we then had a certain standard. And what for us, what happened was, what's the base level to move from creche to toddler prep? What's the base level to move from toddler prep to early learners 1? And so we had all those base levels. And for us, if you didn't meet those base levels, we had KPIs along the way. So we had, beyond the KPIs, there are normal standards for developmental standards for early years that we used as well. And so we had all of those together, working together, and we checked them periodically. We checked them for the creche was every month. For some other classes, it's every 3 months. So we had those things that we were checking periodically, such that if a child wasn't doing well, we didn't have to wait till the end of the term to realize that the child wasn't doing well. And for us as well, it wasn't even just about the students, it was the teaching staff. We looked at you and we said, what is it that you need to do? What are the things that you have to have? And how can we empower you as as teaching staff. And so standards, again, are only as good as those who are checking them, who are enforcing them. So of course we have an enforcement team. We have people who are enforcing the standards, who are checking key stage leaders, level leaders, class leaders, and then of course we had somebody who was looking at, I was checking as well. So quality control is a big deal. So when you're looking at standards, for the lady who asked the question, I can't remember your name right now. When you're looking at standards, you must not Chinonso, you need to benchmark. You need to ask yourself exactly what it is that we're trying to achieve. And you need to make what you're trying to achieve visible, not just to the teachers, but even to the students as well. So the students, for example, we make our thinking visible. When you get into the classroom, we show you these are the objectives. By the end of this course, you should be able to do XYZ, XYZ. So the children are also held on to a level of those standards. Yeah, so once again, cascade learning, what's the benchmark at the very top? Because if you don't do it like that, what would happen is you would miss out along the way. There are things that you need to know which are building blocks, which you would not fix in the right places, right? Then of course you need to then have enforcers. People need to be enforcing those standards. People need to be checking those standards. So your enforcers are important. And then people who are going to teach those standards, which are your teaching staff, need to understand what exactly the standards are and how they plug into all of those standards. When you do that, like I said, all the way from the creche, and of course your stakeholders, your parents are critical, and they have that understanding of what they need to be doing in their houses to support their children to where they need to be going, then you would find that generally speaking, the standards would rise, okay? And I would say to yourself, to you, and that's a mistake most people make, don't put your standards at the same level as the best child in the class, because the best child in the class might be working at 80% of their capacity. But if you put that standard on, this child is great, you know what, let everybody be like this, then you already have missed it. Yeah, so have a tangible standard, either internationally or nationally, that you're working towards, and then that could help. I hope I've helped.
Yes, I believe you have. That was a very good one.
Thank you.
Don't put your standard on the best child in class.
Would you continue, please?
Okay, you must be sensitive to your environment when it comes to a point for you to embark on a new path, said by me. Next one. Sorry to me. If you are not sensitive, you'll miss the sign. That's me again. Oh gosh. You need to double up and double down, safety chick. Okay. Get the necessary knowledge, safety chick again. Knowledge truly empowers, Mrs. Ajayi. A lot of times we walk into our paths almost blind, Mrs. Ajayi. Sometimes you need to realize that you might not be high enough on your own. You might need some helpers. Like, this is so true. You need help. And help comes in diverse forms. Many times we are fixated on the help to come in a particular way, and because of that we lose sight of the other ones that might be in the environment. So also need to be open-minded to the various ways helpers can come. Okay, yes, Mr. Ajayi says it's true, Gucci. We need to be sensitive not to miss the signs.
Okay, so back to our conversation. KK, and we're now back to TT's response on, talking about high enough for a new path. And I'd like TT to take it from the angle where we need people to get to understand that it's safe to just go out on a limb. Just take that leap. We don't really sometimes see ourselves as adventurous people. A lot of times we kind of just have too much, safety chick is safety chick. So there's so much safety consciousness that we have that it's no longer safe for us. I don't know if that can be appropriate to say you are getting too safe to be safe or something like that. because a lot of people just, the first question is why, okay, I want to do something. Why? I want it to really, touch on that.
Thank you, Rotimi. I think you won't drop me a lifeline, because I was thinking, as while having the discussion, Keke had covered one angle I wanted to talk. Ugochi had covered one angle. I didn't have anything else to say. But
so you see that link. You see, I'm rescuing Titi. Remember these good things I do for you. One good turn deserves another. Okay.
So I was saying to myself, how will I cope without repeating what KK said and without repeating what Ugochi said till you came up with this angle. So I thank you very much. One of the things that I've realized is you start with the mindset. Okay, and you have to start with a mindset of, okay, what's the worst that can happen? I would fail. Let me give it a shot. Let me try it. It's something new. Nobody has done it before, but nobody my category has done it before. You really have to try something new. You have to just go out on the limb, as Rotimi has said. There are a number of things that it seems clear cut, and there are some that are not clear. So if I put everything together, is the fact that the more you educate yourself, the more it gives you ideas, the more it gives you, a new path. But it never starts from the place of your sitting down there. That's one of the things. It always starts with, why not let's try this? Why not let's tweak this? Why not let's? But you have to first of all go. What I would say, you have to go and find the adventure. So my first to anybody listening out there is to say, go and expose yourself to new information, to new research, to a new course, to something new. It doesn't have to necessarily be in where you are, because it's from that thing, that new thing, that usually or from that education that usually find a new path. And then when you look at the new path, you have to say yourself, just let me just try it. If it doesn't work out, at the end of the first term, we can scrap it. But you have, so let me say, for instance, if your school is not currently doing anything STEM, you can say, okay, what do I do? Let me give it a try. Let's give it a try this term. Or if your school is not using this, is not really doing anything online, and you feel that my parents will not, you know what I'm saying to you as a listener, just give it a try. You will think, oh, they would not, but you know what? Give it a try. Why not? Why must it be only those kind of schools that have all this online? But you'll be amazed. Go and do research and say, what will it take for the parents in my schools to have buy devices for their children? What are the things out there? What are the opportunities out there? What are the apps out there? You know what? Just go and give it a try. Go for the adventure. Don't think your school is too low cost to do something. There's a very interesting story of, I met a school owner, and they use technology a lot. But you know what? She told me that she just made up her mind her school was going to be a technology school, but she didn't have the resources. She said when she started, it was only one computer. It was just one computer that, you know how it is, they milk the living daylight. And it wasn't even a brand new one. And then from there, they got a second one. But the moment they started on that new path, it's like you just have to take that first step on the new path, and then you start seeing the pathway.
Yes.
It's almost as if it's only when you take that first step that the other parts, the other stone opens up. And so I want to encourage myself, you know what? That's what you should do now. When I think of some of the new things that I've done this year, it's in searching that part out, that new ones come along. And then once you then start, it then seems as if suddenly all the stones, where were these stones? Suddenly all the stones are there. But one of the things that I've learned along the journey in trying to, start a new path is that in everything that you do, aim for excellence. And then you just find yourself attracting other things that are excellent. Don't try, once you make up your mind they're going to do it well, no matter the little resources that you do, always do it very well, because that's what high enough means. It means that when you go into it, you go into all your heart. So this person had started with one computer. When she says, what she wants her school to be, 21st century. It's not even one computer. Some people just feel that, no, till I have a projector in all the classes. No, you can have that one projector. You don't even have to buy the board. That one projector where you just start the one projector and you're moving it from class to class. It's like this 1 hour a week that people get to use it. It's a start. And you feel like the moment you start, all the other parts, that you need to follow just open. All the other opportunities just open. Then there's suddenly, it's like the money and the funding that needs to go the other way just appears. My advice to anybody listening is never say money is your excuse. Your excuse is that you're not brave enough, you're not courageous enough, you're not adventurous enough to start on that new path. It's never money. Never money. It's that you lack the courage. You don't have the mindset. You don't have the sense of adventure to start on that new path.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, Rotimi, back to you.
Fantastic, Titi. Fantastic conversation. Okay. So, and I think a lot of people are getting the point, and for those who probably still are not sure and they're wondering, okay, you guys are talking about high enough for a new path. So how do you know that this path is new? What defines that?
Is it?
Sorry to miss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was just me.
Okay, so
with his mouth open. He's not here. Okay. Someone was about to say something. Okay, was it you?
Yeah. Ugochi, right? Yes, Ugochi, please go ahead. How do you know that this is a new path?
Sometimes it is different from what you are used to, or you don't have enough competence in it. So it's either it's a you haven't done before, so yes. So it's because you don't have enough knowledge at that time to do it, then you know that, okay, this is different. I need more to be able to perform better to do this. For me, that's how I know it's new.
I mean, absolutely. I think I agree with Safety Chick right there. It's
And,
new.
And again, I have to say that new is relative, because something might be new to you, but it's not new to another
Other people.
person, right?
Yeah.
Because they'll be like, I did this thing, the other. Is it this thing that? Yes. Is it this thing? Yes. Yeah.
Are we still here?
Yes, we are.
And then
I think Safety Chick's network is breaking as well.
Okay, can you hear me better now?
Okay, that last sentence was clear.
Okay. Okay, I was saying that, and because new is relative from person to person, it's important to know when something is new to you so that you can upskill, get necessary knowledge so that you can perform well. I'm done.
Okay. Titi?
Oh, okay. Thank you. Well, I don't know where Mr. Rotary has disappeared to. We have 7 minutes to the end of the show, so we should really start to wrap up. But I agree that something new. You see, most of the part that we'll take, we already have the skill set, so to speak. It's never really that one moment you have these skills and the new part is something where you have zero skills for. No, it's never really like that. It's always a add on to the what you already have. It's something that you have the skill sets for. Might not have the skill set, as KK said, on your own for everything, but you actually have some of the skill sets. So I wouldn't want anybody listening out there to think that going on something new, high enough for new part, is something where you have zero skills for. No, it's never really that. A lot of the skills we need to succeed, we kind of have them. They might need fine-tuning, they might need depth, but we kind of have them. Some of those things are God-given talent. You just that you took it for granted. It was something that you didn't really recognize, but a combination of you just venturing out allows you to, so to speak, unearth a lot of those skills. And you find that a lot of the things, as you go on your new path, is also just exploring more of those combinations of skill sets that you actually had in collaboration with someone. When I think of some of the new things that Niger Kids have done this year, they still are very much a bit of what our skills are. The only difference is that we've just added new flavor to them. We've added new ways of expressing them, and then we've collaborated, with people to go into new areas. So but in all things, I would say that as you explore new parts, start with what you already have. Don't think that new part is a completely new skill. Most of the time, it's usually a complement. If it's a new skill, it's a complementary new skill for what you already have. But sometimes it's just going out more, doing research, going for seminars, webinars, that allows you to open your eyes to see the things that you didn't know. Sometimes even just talking to someone. When you talk to someone and say, but you're good in this, back in the days, you used to be, you're like, it's true, I'm actually doing, and a lot of people have actually come to meet me for free advice on this. Then, you're beginning to see something new. I think that's what I would say. So maybe we'll just take the last words as we close, since we have not seen our our chief host. So, Seth, so we'll take last closing words from you, Safety Chick. And then also for
Okay, I'll just say that just to reiterate what I mentioned earlier, that when you are trying to go on a new path, you must be sensitive to the things in your environment, the cues and all that. Then once you identify that this is the new path you're supposed to be on, please get more knowledge, because when you have more knowledge, it helps you to perform better. So yes, that's what I'll just wrap up with.
Okay.
KK.
All right. Okay, so what I would say is perfection is a process, right? So you must start and do it as Titi said, aim for the highest level of excellence. But that level of excellence might not be perfect at that particular point in time, because the more you do something, I mean, from my experience, the more I do it, when I go back and look at it, I'm like, no, I should change this. And I just keep changing it and changing it and changing it. So it might not be perfect when you put it out there, but that's the whole point of it. The fact that you've started. Starting is the most difficult part of the whole thing. But once you've started, it's almost like the universe lines up to cause the reality of that dream to just happen. So just keep going. The skills that you feel that you need, take stock of your skills, take stock of what needs to be done, but just keep going, keep pushing. Find the partnership and the relationship that you need to cultivate to move you to where you need to be. But don't stop simply because you feel you're not able to. As Titi has just said, a lot of that skill, you have it on the inside of you. It might be dormant or just slightly active, but keep going. The more you keep going, the better you would find that you're getting at it. But just don't stop. Aim high and just go on that new path. Sometimes that's all that you need, somebody to just push you. But if you don't have somebody pushing you, push yourself. But just don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Keep going is what I would say to you. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. I think you've heard it. Just from our discussion yesterday, where we said, it's a time for reflection. I would say that this is, it might be October, but I think it's a time for reflection as we approach the end of the year. Reflect on, what you need to do to be more adventurous, to be high enough for that new part. And in all that you're doing, I feel that everyone out there, if you've learned nothing during this period, is the fact that there are lots of new parts out there. There are a lot of things that we're not exploring. There are a lot of things that we're putting at the back burner. We felt, okay, we'll do it tomorrow. But unfortunately, tomorrow has come ever so quickly. So you need to explore, the new standards that you want to bring, the new heights that you want to take as we begin. For me, another interesting journey, as we approach the end of the year. I feel that there's lots we can learn from this season. There's lots we can learn from Black Lives Matter, from the NSAS protest. It's a time of reflection. Reflect and say, what is the new path that you're going to take? Even if it's not clear to you, like Safety Chick said, sometimes it's not clear, but make up your mind to start, to do something about it. And normally, clarity comes on the journey. So at this point, we will say thank you for joining everyone that joined us this morning on the Good Morning Show. Thank you for all of you that made your comments. We really appreciate you. From all of us here at the Good Morning Show, we'll end by saying it's always a good morning on the Good Morning Show. Join us again. Yes, join us again, same time tomorrow at 8 a.m. Okay.
Bye, everyone.
From us. I don't know how we end the show wrote to me, but okay. Bye, everyone. Bye, KK. Bye, Safety Chick. See you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye. Bye.